So a little about me and why I'm talking about this. I brought it up on our introductory slides when we presented last time. So I actually lived in Hong Kong for a year and a half and took part in their umbrella movement, which is what they call their protest. And this is a picture I took while we were out there. And on this particular day, they said there was about 1.5 million people protesting that day for the umbrella movement, which was really awesome. So I guess to get into this movement and really understand why they're protesting against China, we kind of have to look back at the history of Hong Kong and China. Starting back in 1861, so Hong Kong for the longest time was actually a British colony, and from 1861 to 1997. And after that, they had freedoms, they were free to do what they wanted, they used British money, global trade. It was a real hub for Central Asia at the time, being a British colony there. And then in 1997, it switched over to become a special administrative region of China. So basically what that means is they have their own government, their own money, their own press, newspapers. They have essentially the basic human freedoms that you would expect to get from a country. But from like a military sense, from a police standpoint, they're still controlled by China. And China still can put regulations into their government under the special administrative region outlines. So when it switched over from British colony to being an SAR, it's not something that just happens overnight. There's a bit of a transition phase. And in that phase, from 1984 to 1997, we saw the freedom swimmers. So these were all people who were wanting to escape communist China at the time, as they were going through their own sort of revolutions over there. And it was estimated about 2 million people, estimated by The Guardian, that 2 million people between these years made either they would swim for miles and miles, it'd take a whole day, from China to Hong Kong, or they'd hop on boats. They'd all pack their families in, and a lot of people died making that swim to escape China in order to be able to go to Hong Kong and have freedoms. So now let's flash forward 20 years. It's 2021. You're this little kid sitting there on the pier with your family, and you grew up your whole life listening to the story of how your grandma, grandpa, mom, or dad and their whole family risked their lives to leave China, come to Hong Kong, make a better life, do what they want, have freedoms. And now, as of 2022, Hong Kong, because of China, passed the new security laws. In order to pass these laws, first they had to arrest 53 pro-democratic politicians under no law that they broke other than freedom of speech and freedom of assembly. For after these laws passed in Hong Kong, the freedom of assembly, the freedom of press, the freedom of speech were all made illegal, and the anthem of Hong Kong was actually made illegal at the time as well, in order to kill any kind of protest movement at the time that there was getting way. And another story I found on the Human Rights Watch was a man by the name of Tom Tak-chi, who was a vice chairman for the pro-democratic party of Hong Kong, was arrested for saying political slogans on the street. He was held in solitary confinement for 6 months before his trial, and he was convicted basically on nothing other than trying to protest for democracy, and is still in jail to this day. So those are kind of the big reasons why why Hong Kong protests China. It's more or less just over democracy and the freedoms that they believe and that they have actually had for the last 25 years and they believe that they deserve. China's coming in and basically saying, no, you're part of us, you're going to do what we do, you're going to be a communist country, you're going to abide by our rules, or you're not going to live here. And Hong Kong is just not a big fan of that. They want their democracy, they want their freedoms, and they're willing to fight for it, and they're willing to protest for it. These are my sources. Thank you.